welcome to the 9642 podcast. This is your host, Mr. Number 9.
And this is The Fool.
This is where me and The Fool give our
Unqualified and unrequested
ramblings on the various issues in the world of sport.
or something like that.
Hello, everybody. We are going to do our final FIFA World Cup 2022 Qatar podcast.
Yeah.
It'll be the end, and if time permitting, we may go into the Premier League fixtures, or that might be a separate podcast. We should see.
We shall see, but probably best as a separate podcast.
Yep. Now, tournament's over, and the Lionel Messi has finally completed football, clocked the game.
He's clocked the game. 100% achievement.
Yep. Now, a career with 7 Ballon d'Ors, 1 World Cup, 1 Copa America.
Yeah.
And 3 Champions Leagues with Barcelona.
Yeah.
Incredible career to look back on. Obviously, he's not going to retire. He's going to continue playing.
Yeah.
He's going to be back at PSG. And yeah, this is with his teammate who he in the final. What a final it was.
It was such a great final. I mean, it had everything. It had some Messi class. It had Angel Di Maria bringing out all the old hits. It had, a coasting Argentina and then a French fight back with Mbappe deciding that, it wasn't done and he would score a hat-trick. It had a hat-trick in a World Cup final. And this time it was for a losing player. It had everything. And it had penalties.
Only the second person to score a hat-trick in a World Cup final. We've been seeing it all tournament. Argentina taking the brakes off, like literally every game they played.
Literally every game, yeah.
The brakes off, and
I think the only one where they didn't really do that was probably the Polish game. Maybe Mexico as well. Like the two, once they'd sort of been defeated by Saudi Arabia, the next 2 games in the group phase are probably the best ones defensively for not doing that. And strangely enough, they were the clean sheets as well. So,
like they almost they were under pressure against Australia.
Yeah.
Under pressure against the Netherlands. A lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure.
Under pressure against
Croatia, but
Croatians, but the Croatians were basically knackered in that game.
They were.
Then against France, under pressure.
Yeah, under pressure. The benefit of that is we got a 6-goal final, World Cup final, which was very exciting.
Absolutely. First amongst, I think the first World Cup final between Argentina and Uruguay was also a 6-goal final, 4-2 for Uruguay. And when they won against Germany, they got a 5-goal final. So Argentina, when they win World Cups, they're goal-scoring finals. At least 2 of them were goal-scoring finals, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah. Well,
and
what you get, right?
As I noted, they tend to when they win a World Cup, they tend to play against a team that made it to the finals the previous time.
Yeah. Which is an interesting stat. They play the previous finalist, one of the previous finalists. They play them in.
Yeah.
So this was also the other interesting stat that they did pull out when Messi had slotted that first penalty. That was the first time France has been behind in the final. I found it interesting as well.
Yeah. And they made an amazing comeback.
Amazing comeback.
And a deserved comeback, I think. They played well enough. to get back in. It's interesting. Like, there's going to be things coming out from this French camp. A lot of players. There was apparently a flu. There was apparently an illness going along in the camp. That might have been the reason why Giroud and Dembele were subbed off. Though Didier Deschamps did say that it was a tactical decision. It wasn't an issue with players.
So as Tifo saying on the podcast afterwards, their podcast after the game, it was still an interesting thing if it was purely tactical that you do it like 3 minutes, 4 minutes before halftime. Why not just wait for halftime?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. The tournament is like, it's given us so much great moments. Like the whole 4-team tournament the last round of the group stage. Every day of the last round of the group stage threw us like an intense situation. Like we had a whole podcast about the last day. It was incredible.
It was very incredible. You're right. Like every group had tension in it, and interesting things.
How do you work it so that you can have a 48-team World Cup with groups of 4?
Yeah.
How does that work?
How does it? Well, the interesting thing there is the second round, I guess, because you can have 12 groups of 4, right? Just how does 12 groups go into knockouts from there?
Yeah, exactly. Or you could just have 8 groups of 6. At least with the even number, you could technically still have last day jitters, right?
Yeah. Should have a bit bigger groups that could be better. Yeah, that could work as well. 8 groups of 6, and then you still have your 16 next round.
Yeah, and then there's no reason why you can't go from, like, inevitably in our lifetime we're gonna see a 64-team World Cup. That's just gonna happen, right? Like, and we're gonna go back to the formula, the tried and true. We're probably gonna have a round of 32, round of 16, round of
quarters, semis, finally.
Yeah. It's gonna be a lot of games though. It'll be a long tournament, so it'll be. But money.
Money, yeah. I mean, the other way you can do a 48-team tournament is have your 12 groups of 4, and then have an intermediate round where all the second place teams play each other, like have a knockout crossover, but then the winners of that go and play a first out of it. So you have like a rest day for if you came first, you get a rest next round, but if you came second, you're going to play an extra game basically.
Yeah, like
and you have 16. Continue from the round of 16 there.
Do you have 16? Because you have 12 plus.
12 is 24. But if you half that down to 6, it's 12 plus 6 is 18. Or 18. Yeah,
Yes,
get rid of 2 more.
Yeah,
you're right.
That's you basically.
My maths wasn't working in my head to begin with.
Yeah, the only way you can do it, I feel like, is if you have a round of 32, in which case you have a few third place teams make it.
Yeah, maybe that works as well then. You need
like the best third place teams will make it from there. I'm not sure how that would work, but yeah. Like a round of 32 would make the tournament much longer, but I guess it's natural progression.
Yeah, it is a bit of natural progression.
I feel like they're just gonna end up keeping the groups of 3, like.
Yeah.
Realistically.
You're saying this because they go groups of 6?
Yeah. Unless they do groups of 6. Which would be a long tournament, but at least it's not going to add an extra round of games. Not that I mind an extra round of games. I am all for long World Cups and lots happening. I am not going to complain about that at all.
Technically, it's not any longer than the group of 3 one, right? Because you're still He's got the extra 2 games through. So.
Yeah, but more like more matches to watch as a fan.
Yeah. That is.
That's the burnout. It's not the players.
Just
like
fans.
Yeah. One extra round of games, going from 7 to 8 games is not going to be a big deal, realistically, for the players.
Yeah.
Because technically they'd be going down to 3, won't they, if it's a 3-team group.
Yeah, well, each team would have two games in that.
Yeah, and 4 in the knockouts.
And then 4 in the knockouts, yeah. You'd have, yeah. Well, you go straight to knockouts? I thought they were doing like a second round group stage.
Are they?
I can't remember. That was just... In my head I thought it was going back to the 2 group rounds. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's, yeah. 3's then knockouts from there.
I mean, if you've got groups of 3, then you've already got 16 groups. Why are we...
Yeah.
Just go straight a round of 16. Why are we having another group stage? Who are we eliminating?
You make good points, but yeah. Maybe that was a different idea they had at some point. That's what I had in my head, that it was 2 group stages. Like a preliminary group stage, and then goes into the normal to get down to your 32, and then just go from there.
Yeah.
As the standard tournament, as they the format they currently have it, just have like a extra round before. Yeah, at the round of 48. It might have been with a different format they were thinking. They've changed it.
Yeah. Well, we shall see how it plays out. There's a lot to think about for FIFA.
Yeah.
Now, World Cup Christmas, what do we think about that now that it's happened?
I mean, I like it.
I like it too. I'm a fan.
I'm a fan. Though listening to podcasts, it sounds still that the Northern Hemisphere are not fans. So.
Yeah. I get what they mean, but I'm like, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like getting time off in December is way easier than getting time off in June to watch World Cup games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, it just seems a nicer time, but I guess that's the argument that the Northern Hemisphere are making for June games, because it's their summer. Having fun out in the bars watching it, so.
Yeah. But realistically, I mean, the people in Europe, like we've had this conversation, Europeans aren't really World Cup fans. It's everybody else in the world that are World Cup fans. Like
exactly.
We like to get up early in the morning. It's part of the World Cup experience we've grown up with, getting up early in the morning or staying up late to watch games and, see...
Although I'm excited about the World Cup and the next one being in North America, because I think we'll get somewhat friendly times.
Yeah, like the next World Cup is clearly not going to be in winter because that would clash with the NFL.
Yeah, no, it's going to be in summer. But our actual playing times are going to be not too bad, hopefully.
Oh yeah, it'll be like NFL times, right?
Yeah,
it'll
exactly.
be...
it might be a little early NFL times. There might be like a 5 or a 4 o'clock game as the first one during the whatever they do during rounds, the round stage. But yeah, the main games will be...
Because you have 4 games on the group stage, right?
Currently, yeah.
If you have 4 games a day, it's assuming they keep that.
But remember, they do have, same with the NFL, right? They're going to have various time zones to work with as well. So they can always have 4 o'clock. Yeah, I mean, but it doesn't make a difference for us.
Regardless of the time zones, we get the NFL games at the same time. Like, it might be half an hour here and there, but we get them at the same time, more or less. It'll be similar to the Brazil World Cup, I assume, because from memory, we watched, like, the finals started at 9 or 10, and watched it till midday. And
No, it was earlier. It was about 8, 7 or 8. It was a little earlier because I remember Brazil's a bit more shifted to the.
and they may have like shifted their time zone to suit Europeans
They
because
may have as well. I can't remember. But I know it must have been. It must have been around 8 o'clock ish.
because like in June we will probably, if they follow the timings of the NFL, if they have a game at 9 in the morning, 12 o'clock, and then they can probably have another one at 3 o'clock and then prime time for their 4-game strat.
Well, yeah, NFL is what.
The
Some
NFL
days-
doesn't have a 3 o'clock game, but they do because the games are longer. Let's be fair.
Well, to be fair, over this Christmas period, just looking at the current NFL schedule, like Friday has a 2:15 p.m. game. So, that's Eastern.
Yeah, 2:15 is their prime time. Our 2:15.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So they can have one about then.
And
So-
prime time for them. And we have a game at around 10 o'clock, which is their midday games.
Mhm.
And they have games that start in the morning, like 10 o'clock games.
7 o'clock games, apparently. Looking at the
Which
schedule.
are 7 o'clock. Yeah, 10
our-
o'clock.
Yeah,
Our,
right, yes. 7 o'clock
I think 12, not 12 o'clock. It's more 1 o'clock games. Sorry. So the ones we get at 10:30 to 10 to 10:30 are the 1 o'clock to 1:30 games for them, and the early games start at 10.
Oh, right, yeah.
So, assuming they map it close to NFL times, that would be roughly how it goes, I assume.
I assume you say they might tinker with that a little bit based on.
They might start. So they might start a bit earlier, like the beginning of the tournament. They might go. We get a game at 8. We get a game at 11. We get a game at 2, and then we get a game at prime time.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Because you need like a 2-hour gap, 3 hours between games, roughly. Is what we did. We have 3 hours between games, or about 2 hours between games?
11 and 3 hours.
3 hours, yes.
I had 11 o'clock games, then it's 2 a.m. and then it was 5 a.m.
Yeah.
The group stages.
Yeah, so you can't really play earlier than 9 in the morning, right?
No,
like,
they can't. Even 9,
they
would be complaining about 9 a.m. as well, like that. Because
like,
professional athletes, right? They'd be having to wake up at like 3 in the morning.
So 10 is 10 is okay.
10's okay.
Probably.
That's 4 or 5 o'clock. Get up.
So we say 3 hours from there is 1. And then from 1 to 3, 3 hours from 1 is 4. And 4 to 7, which is the prime time game. So roughly it would map NFL, except there's a gap between the afternoon games and prime time, which is where you'd have a game.
Yeah. Pretty much. Be good for us.
Yeah, it's good for us. So that would be how you'd fit it in. I mean, yeah, it totally makes sense. You'd have two. This would be a World Cup where 2 of the countries have hosted World Cup finals.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be real interesting. And 1 new country with Canada.
Yeah.
So it's still spreading the game, and it is technically North America's turn.
Yeah.
2030, very, very likely to be the southern cone of South America, with the Uruguay, Argentina, Chile, Paraguay bid.
Yeah, that would be very likely, I think. If not, it'll be England, Scotland, Wales.
3 of those countries have hosted World Cups before. Paraguay would be a new place, so it's also growing. The other countries competing for that are a potential transcontinental bid with Portugal, Spain, and Morocco.
Yeah.
Which would be interesting to bring the cup back to Africa.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a potential British bid, United British bid, with Great Britain and Ireland together, UK and Ireland.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
You'd say the South American or the British bids would probably be the strongest ones, if it's not
yeah,
just because it's the 100 years. So
there's a move. It's interesting that people on Tifo said they wanted to see the World Cup go to different parts of the world because they know what European football is like and what a European World
Yeah.
Cup is like. And the World Cup is not as big in Europe as it is around the world.
yeah.
So there's a thing that apparently Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Greece want to combine to do a bid for the 2030, but technically Saudi Arabia can't bid because they're in Asia and Qatar hosts 2022. That would break FIFA's own rules, but yeah, you know, FIFA never breaks their own rules.
Yeah.
So this is not gonna happen.
It's totally not good. Oh dear, that's totally going to happen now, isn't it? I have no faith in FIFA not to look at it and go, no, we can do this.
But 2034 is probably another Asian bid. There is word on the grapevine that China wants to bid for that. And I am 100% sure that FIFA will want China to bid for that.
Yeah. No, definitely.
We think about the 4 biggest markets in the world, like United States, European Union, China, and India.
Yeah.
There's like the United States, China, and India are places where football can grow and like make even more money. Like
exactly.
they're affordable to think, right? So if the United States gets a tournament in 2026, either India or China in 2034 makes sense.
Yeah.
And either of them would be like a huge, like a huge growth thing for FIFA to grow the game.
Yeah, exactly. Like there'd be big opportunities there as well.
Yeah, and I mean let's just be honest, it's gonna be China if they do put a bid in.
If they do put a bid in, yeah.
They've got stadiums all over the country already. There's not going to need to build too much infrastructure. There's not much white elephants. Like India has the stadiums as well. They would probably just need to renovate a lot of the stadiums. Like the finals would probably be in Kolkata and Salt Lake Stadium. They probably push it back up to being 120k stadium because that's the peak it had. Now it's an all-seater with 90k. But even a 90k stadium's worthy of a World Cup final, probably.
Yeah. That said, just having a look here, Australia wants the 2034 as well, and that could be with us.
Technically, it's Oceania's turn, so it should be New Zealand.
New Zealand and Australia.
Yeah, New Zealand should host it. Australia can have some games.
Yeah, exactly.
But the final should be at the Cake Tin.
Yeah. I mean, we're hosting the Women's World Cup, right? So next year, so that's showing our credentials with Australia for that.
Yeah.
And that'd be much more fun. So hopefully we get one sometime soon.
Yeah, 2034 for Oceania, then 2038 would probably be China, because China's gonna get one in the 2030s. Like I think that's inevitable.
I think if China goes in, it'd be one way around the other, pretty much.
The Americas are probably going to be ignored for hosting World Cups because they would have had 2014, 2026, and 2030 if the South American countries did it. So
the Asian countries also got a bid for.
Yeah, that could end up being the 2 bids, like ASEAN versus China, and both are growth markets for.
Yeah.
For the sport.
Exactly.
Now, the one after the 20, so we're assuming there will be an Asian one in 2030. Like we can just probably assume there will probably be an Asian World Cup every decade.
Yeah.
Now on, probably.
More than likely.
That's just where the game is growing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and probably whichever one ends up being China, and if New Zealand let's be realistic. New Zealand's probably not gonna get it, but it'll.
Uh,
Yeah, I
we,
think
I think we'll get one with like co-hosting with Australia. I think there's a strong.
we should co-host with the Solomon Islands and Papua New Guinea.
Tahiti.
Tahiti. That's such a travel. Hey. At least PNG and Fiji are close by.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
We'll
but
see.
we'll see. Yes.
I think, like, at that point, Africa has a good argument to be made that it's their turn.
Yeah.
Like, probably after Oceania, there's probably going to be a bit in Africa. Probably another, that Morocco. Like, the Morocco, Portugal, Spain idea is actually not a bad one.
No, it's pretty good. That'd be quite fun.
3 countries with, like, a lot of shared history as well.
Yeah.
So, and a transcontinental World Cup. But, like, Africa has a bunch of countries that where the world's economic growth is coming from in the coming decades. So
Yeah.
there's going to be bids from countries like Nigeria, Egypt, Morocco, South Africa, again, I'm sure.
Apparently Zimbabwe's interested as well.
Yeah, I mean, if only because Qatar just hosted a World Cup in 2022, it might not go to a Northern African country. They might be like, the Middle East has had a World Cup.
Yeah.
Like, we have a country in sub-Saharan Africa again, maybe Ethiopia, assuming the political situation improves.
Yeah.
Or somewhere like Nigeria.
We'll say the Zimbabwe one's going with Botswana, Mozambique, South Africa, and Zambia. So that's pretty much the entirety of the southern part of that.
Yeah, I mean, South Africa's already hosted a World Cup, right? So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with going back to South Africa. They could definitely host it. It would be an incredible tournament. But if the goal is to spread the game.
Yeah. Well, I see Nigeria's name being flown around as well, so.
Yeah, Nigeria, like, there's Ghana, there's Tanzania, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's countries with big populations, big stadiums that would use. Like, I'm just imagining an AFCON version of the World Cup, because that wasn't what for the FIFA World Cup in South Africa was, right?
No.
It'd be pretty incredible. I'd be pretty happy to see that.
It'd be pretty awesome.
Like a big tournament in the continent.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, we should finish our housekeeping. Teams of the tournament.
Oof.
So let's start at the top. We have 3 very strong contenders for the goalkeeper of the tournament. Dominik Livakovic of Croatia has had an incredible tournament. Martinez of Argentina has had an incredible tournament. And Yassine Bono of Morocco has had an incredible tournament.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm happy to go with FIFA's Golden Glove winner, Martinez. He's pretty much been like the best keeper of the tournament.
Yeah, well, exactly. He was pretty much there.
Well, arguably, potentially should have won the Golden Ball, in my opinion.
You'll never get him that off. Lionel Messi, come on.
Look, man, Lionel Messi has stolen a Golden Ball from 2 goalkeepers who deserve to win the Golden Ball. Argentina won Argentina needed penalty shootouts 3 times this tournament, right? And sorry, 2 times this tournament.
Yeah.
To win, and he was clutch in both, like incredibly clutch.
Incredibly clutch. He was, in fact, you would say throughout the knockouts, Martinez is the reason why Argentina went through each of the games.
Yeah.
There was, that amazing save at the very death against Australia to keep it as 2-1. Obviously the penalty shootout against the Dutch. Yeah. was
Amazing
excellent.
save against France in the last kick of the game as well.
Amazing France, and plus the penalty shootout heroics there as well. I think essentially really the only game in the knockouts was the Croatian game, where he wasn't like the defining reason why they didn't go through, but he was still like super awesome through that whole thing anyway.
Yes. So agreed, Martinez.
Martinez easy.
All right. Defenders. For me, right back, Ashraf Hakimi. Do we need to argue?
No, I don't think so.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Other side, Theo Hernandez on the other end. Do we need to argue? Like, it's pretty straightforward. Who would centre backs for me? Josko Gardial of Croatia has had an incredible tournament. And I'm just wondering, like, I want to give it to Thiago Silva, but Brazil did get knocked out pretty early, so it's a question for me of whether it's Rafa Varane or Nicolas Otamendi. But I think Argentina has conceded a lot of goals.
I wouldn't be giving it to the defenders. Otamendi, I would go Otamendi, but he was clearly not at his peak anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, Varane. I would be happy with Silva as well. I mean, he despite Brazil going out fairly early, did have a really good tournament. And let's go Varane because he made the final.
Yeah, and he had a great game in the final.
Oh, and he had a great game. Like, not taking away Varane, like it was an awesome, and in fact an awesome tournament.
Yeah. So midfielders, like I'm gonna go with 3 midfielders and 3 forwards.
Yep.
So I think, to me, just because I think he's been the best player in the French team pretty much all tournament except for the final. Antoine Griezmann, playing in that deep lying playmaker role. I gotta pick Sofiane Amrabat. He's just been that guy, ball winner who progresses the ball for Morocco. Just runs, brings energy, and if you've got 2 players like that, who are like, one brings energy, recovers the ball, and the other is like a deep lying playmaker. This is not how I would do a team if it were up to me setting up, but I'm just picking who I think has played the best. It's got to be Luka Modric as the third guy, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to say, I don't know how I can't pick Modric and Kosovic as the midfield. In the midfield, because both the Croatians are just, in fact, really it's all 3 of the Croatians. Like,
the Croatian 3 in the midfield were incredible. I agree. I just basically picked 3 players from basically the semi-finalists because I figured like Sofiane Amrabat was the best player in the Moroccan team. Like,
no, it's hard not to pick him.
I basically picked the best player in every team, I think, all tournament, to be in the midfield.
Which is fair enough. I mean, I could also have an argument for De Paul as well, because he's had an amazing tournament too. And clearly, no spoilers, you're going to have Messi in front line, and De Paul just covers
for him. You're going to pick Messi? What? I'm shocked.
And sort of with Messi, like, De Paul just covers everything behind him, right? So there's a good argument that you need him as well. So midfield's probably the hardest picks.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not picking a team based on their.
No. And it's like,
we're gonna have a attack line with Messi and Mbappe. We're gonna have a PSG team. Like, we're just picking players, right?
No, I get it, and I think you're right. Like, the 3,
Like, okay,
they're the 3
you and I are
players.
picking Kylian Mbappe and Lionel Messi in the forward line. Who's your third forward?
Dude.
Unless you're picking a 4th midfielder at it, like you're going 4-4-2.
Oh, yeah, do
Unironic 4-4-2.
yeah, do go 4-4-2.
Then you can put Kovacic.
Kovacic in there, yeah. Maybe that's the better option. Why complain? Put Kovacic and Modric in there, um, and just have Messi and Mbappe up front running riot. I mean, the other options. I know Giroud was taken off in the final. The other option was to have Giroud up front and from the do his Giroud stuff.
That's my pick. I can't just Giroud up front as my target man.
Yeah.
Flash false nine who can run back and help defend and help press. Just basically do the hard work that Kylian Mbappe and Lionel Messi are not going to do.
Exactly. And then you have Mbappe and Messi running off them.
Yep.
They've got a focal point for everybody to aim at, and Giroud's going to win the ball. He's going to hold the ball, and then he's going to pass it to one of those two to do the rest. And he's going to be there if he when needed to flash one in.
Exactly.
And the other thought I would have had is maybe Angel Di Maria, based on his final appearance.
Angel Di Maria didn't even start all the games.
No, I'd say based on the final, like.
Not
looking for that one game, but it was. I mean, he did really well in the one game, and I mean, he was not played because Argentina had a change of tactics, right? The first game he played, and they were trying to be a bit more creative, a bit more attacking, and then after that they went into a more defensive setup, and that seemed to work better for them. And Di Maria didn't have a spot in that.
Yeah.
We're not picking proper teams here, so maybe Di Maria has a chance to be in there. But at the same time, I think it's Giroud with Messi and Mbappe is probably the better option, or perhaps just the two up front, Mbappe and Messi. Pick Kovacic into or De Paul into the midline, and they're doing the same thing that we're picking Giroud for, basically, which is doing the hard works to cover for Mbappe and Messi. Just without the focal target man up front taking it.
Yeah. Which could be a good way to do it. Anyway, that can be our agree to disagree for our teams. Now, who's your manager? Coloni?
Yeah. I'd really not pick the manager that's won it for it.
The Orange fan in me really, really, really wants to pick Louis van Gaal.
I can understand that.
Just because he's shown the most as well as a manager to impact on the pitch and nous at getting what's needed.
Yeah.
But I gotta pick Walid Regragui from Morocco. He's just used such an incredible performance with this team in 3 months, just to get this team where he has gotten them.
Yeah, well, exactly. Not a lot of time, and clearly overperforming. On general expectations, anyway, for the team themselves would perhaps be a bit upset with me suggesting that this was them, that this was better than they could perform. But, I think, any of these three picks, you can pick the champs. You can get that French team to the final with all the Frenchness of a French team at a World Cup happening.
Yes, I can't wait till France gets good at cricket, so we can also watch them do French things at cricket. In the Cricket World Cup.
Yeah.
But okay, so that's our teams. Best highlight of the finals for you?
Of the whole tournament, I mean, it's still going to be the end. It's still going to be Messi in the middle of the Argentine scrum, holding up the World Cup, and somehow Aguero being allowed onto the pitch, and
That was incredible, right? That might have been my favorite moment of the final day, like the
Yeah.
the final, just that he could run down and go and.
Because yeah,
He
when
almost pulled a John Terry.
yeah, you know that was just crazy that they had a shot of him once the final penalty being scored, and he was just sprinting down the stairs from his seat up in the stands, just like charging on down. So yeah, nobody was stopping him getting on the field. That's for sure.
That's incredible. Like, he's been such a great servant for Argentinian football
Yeah.
for so long. So he's
Oh,
deserved
exactly.
to go down there and enjoy it with his mates.
I don't think anybody
Do not
can say.
begrudge him that one bit.
Otherwise, in terms of actual football, I mean, what's not to like with this tournament? There's plenty of, especially through the group stage, we had plenty of shocks, right?
Mbappe's volley to equalize in just before full time.
Oh, that's
was
so beautiful.
that
Especially-
was like felt like I wanted Argentina to win.
Yeah.
Like, that moment almost made me go, oof, I don't mind if France win now. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I actually am like, this kid is building a legend. Like, he's putting out a career, like
He's
showing.
definitely setting the stage for you guys were arguing who was the GOAT, Ronaldo or Messi. That there was no argument. You just had to wait a bit longer.
Yeah. It's incredible. Like, we can just write it down. He's gonna win a Ballon d'Or one day if he doesn't get injured and looks after himself. He's already the $500 million man
Yeah.
at PSG. He's got a LeBron-like deal. He's gonna decide what's happening at that club. And if it still doesn't work out for him at 25, he can move to whatever club he wants, and every club in the world will be after his signature. And let's
100%.
be honest, it's gonna be City, right?
Every club in the world's gonna be after his signature. So when he signs for City, and
Yep.
but yeah, and it's crazy to think that he's only 23, and just all the stuff that goes with him, and he's already a World Cup winner, and is now a World Cup grand final hat trick. It's just crazy to think how good this kid is, and the fact he's saying he's only 23, and just how many more years of football we're going to have off him.
Like, this is
Barring any horrible
this is his
things.
first World Cup at a peak age. Like, he's 23.
Yeah.
His last World Cup, he was not at his peak. He was still the young kid of the team. Next World Cup, he's gonna be the captain of the team, and that's gonna be his team, like, almost without a doubt.
100%.
And he's, and he's probably got at least another couple in his 30s if he looks after himself. If he does
exactly.
the Cristiano Ronaldo thing of taking care of his body and all these things.
Yeah.
Hey, Cristiano Ronaldo might have another World Cup in him. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. I mean, that's up to Cristiano Ronaldo, right?
Yeah.
Given the slight disappointment, the tears of Ronaldo with this World Cup, I wouldn't put it past him to try just one more time.
We know he wants 1,000 goals. I think that's a given.
Yeah.
1,000 career goals, and he's a worthy person to be the first person to get to it. If he gets there, he'd be well worthy of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Of being the person to get that record, and I'm sure Messi will follow him close behind.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we'll just be all grabbing our popcorn and watching to see if Haaland or Mbappe beat them.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's gonna come down to those two, right?
So Mbappe, I guess, has the benefit of playing in a French team, and therefore, having World Cups to go to as well.
Yeah, having World Cups to go to, but Norway will still play in qualifiers, right?
Yeah. So, I'm sure Haaland will do his best to drag Norway to a World Cup at some point.
They'll have Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as their manager for World Cup. I know it. It's just written in the stars.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Like, this is just how reality works now, right? Like, nonsense things happen, and we go, it may as well be that way.
Exactly. Like, well, that sounded like a good story. Sure, why not?
Pretty much. But yeah, that's an incredible tournament. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Of course, I'm not gonna ignore the off-field issues, and we did talk a lot about it. And
I noticed the Tifo podcast after it did also spend a lot of time on that. And I guess that's the important thing, really, is that everybody knew about the off-field issues. You know, before the tournament, there was plenty said about it. Volumes upon volumes of things said about it. So the question is whether the footballing world continues to talk about it post the World Cup, or if, like with Brazil and then like with Russia, it just all gets ignored because there was this great football World Cup. Or to be fair, even South Africa. So if it all just gets swept under the rug because there was this wonderful final and this wonderful storyline, everybody's like, oh my god, the football is so amazing.
Like, the tournament itself was incredible.
Yeah. And I think there's nothing wrong with having two views, which is the football at the tournament and the actual tournament itself was amazing. It was really awesome. Everything flowed really well. There was amazing football. The games were really awesome. TV viewing experience was awesome. The fans looked like they were having fun in the stadium. It was all great. Fine to have that and still be like, but all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Like, anything that's not the football is still there.
Yeah. But, like, we're in that era now. Almost every football tournament, even the next tournament in the USA, is effectively a sports washing exercise.
I mean, you're right.
Maybe it's always been that way, but, you know.
It's become more and more
even
that.
more so like that.
Exactly. It is what it is now. And that is the case of any large tournament or any large...
Especially when it comes to the World Cup, and especially because of football.
Yeah.
And I think before we leave, I'm going to quote the late, great Terry Pratchett. Football it's more than just about football. But I think that's all we have time for today. I look forward to our next podcast record, which we will try to do very quickly as well, to talk about the weekend's games to come out this weekend.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see you all next time.
Catch you next time.
Well, that is the end. Thanks for listening all the way through.
If you liked what you heard, we have even more. NineSixFourTwo Discord and a Buy Me a Coffee.
Pretty sure it's Buy Me a Beer.
Oh yeah, buy me a beer on buymeacoffee.com.
In both these places, you can talk to us, and we may even listen, especially if you do buy a said beer or coffee. I might still be confused.
Yes, we're easily bribed. All links are in the show notes below.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
This is on YouTube.